this stuff is controversial, actually. And as soon as you step out and start talking about attainments, it turns out there's a significant faction of people, some of which I really like Joseph Goldstein, et cetera. I like him as a person, but they find it aesthetically and karmically and all kinds of ways very unsavory to discuss attainments openly in any kind of way. And it's interesting. I was actually just up talking to Joseph Goldstein about this at his house for about 2.5 hours a few weeks ago. And it was interesting to hear his arguments, but just so you recognize that that there's that side, and then there's the other side of people who really appreciate it. They find it inspiring. It brings it down to earth. It makes it doable and workable and something more real. And so there's pros and cons to this. And so any way you play it, either being very silent about attainments or being very public and technically descriptive about them, or somewhere in between, sort of subtle hints and innuendos and fancy hats and titles, but not actually saying it, like that sort of gray zone in between, or giving empowerments that require a certain level of attainment or whatever, but not actually saying you have the attainment. So there's all these different ways to play it. And the politics of that can get really complicated and sometimes kind of nasty, right? So some people really vehemently, this offends them profoundly that I say these kinds of things, and they express their opinions in the public forum and sometimes in private. And that's part of the rich dialogue that we're all trying to sort out, is what are the risks and benefits and alternatives of various approaches to even talking about attainments, right? Because any way you slice it, there's good and bad outcomes from anything we do in this world. And so that's been an interesting dialogue and ongoing discussion. So just sort of to bring that up, since there are a number of people who watching this will almost certainly be aware of these kinds of debates and these issues. But it's always heartening when people appreciate, the way that, for whatever reason, this Daniel is doing things. So based on its own conditioning and the universe unfolding as it does. So thank you for that.